So ERCOT is expecting record demand this week, potentially tomorrow. So how worried should you be about the power?
Yeah, we're watching the grid conditions closely this morning. Want to get to Cleo Green, who is tracking things right now. And Cleo, those lines look a little too close for comfort later on today.
Yeah, but they say everything's looking good right now. They do, and I'll show you that in just a minute here. If you're new to North Texas, ERCOT controls 90% of Texas's power grid here. So we've really been keeping a close eye on the grid here, the supply and demand graph. Now, that turquoise line there represents the demand. The purple line represents the supply. Look at the forecast for a little later in the day here. They get really close. Here's a little slither there to show you that there is some room to play with. ERCOT says things are looking good right now. And in fact, if you look at the operating reserves right here, it went down from about 5 o'clock this morning. We're at 7,800 right now. And they say this is normal conditions and there is enough power for current demand. 1 megawatt, by the way, can power 200 homes here in Texas. All right, so here's a little look at what's been happening and the watch that they issued a little earlier this week to talk about the demand, because they are expecting increased demand. Now, it doesn't mean we need to conserve power. It just means ERCOT is keeping a close eye on the power grid to make sure everything runs smoothly. So that's why they issued that weather watch. They say the biggest driver for grid overload comes from residents, of course, and businesses using air conditioning to stay cool. That makes sense. Utility providers that buy and sell power through ERCOT's markets have conducted several maintenance of its power plants, and they say we are good to go for the summer months. Once again, looking at the supply and demand graph here, we do come a little closer later in the day here. A little close, but there is a slither there for some room to play with, and ERCOT saying everything's looking good right now. I'll send it back to you.
Okay, glad to hear it. Thanks, Cleo.